Welcome with the brand new HTC One M9 with the latest Android 5.0 Android installed and the Sense 7.0, which is not released yet on the other HTC smartphones in the premium sector. It's a beautiful device. It's really fast. It's between the fastest smartphones out there right now. We showed you already in the review what it can do, but now we have a few tips and tricks and hidden features that you might want to use in everyday scenarios. And we will probably start off with the camera, where you can, for example, switch between different camera modes by just swiping to the left or right between here different presets that you can of course also see by pressing the 4 buttons here on the bottom, where you can see here a few cameras. But for example, that's nothing new. HTC is telling you that, but there's also a feature where you can set up, for example, your own camera. So if you just go back here to the regular camera mode and you say you want to go to the settings, then there is a save custom camera feature here where you can say you want to save a custom camera. You can see that here, and then you can swipe between the regular preset cameras and the own camera that's, for example, your custom set here with the white balance, with the ISO, or everything else that you want to set up for yourself for special occasions, but which could be quite interesting for you just to easily shoot even more beautiful pictures. So that's already two nice features that you can just really easily just swipe here between different features, like for example also selfie or camera mode can be quite handy to use the beautiful front and back camera here on the HTC One M9. So let's go out here and then we can show you a few other features, like for example there's also the possibility to use the device as a flashlight by just really dragging here down the top bar with 2 fingers. You get right away here to the custom set area for different features where you can just turn the flashlight on or off. You can see it right here now. The dual LEDs are on. You can also turn it off if you don't need a flashlight, or if you want other features. So you can just hit here the settings button and then you can choose between a bunch of preset things like that you want to easily change your screen timeout and everything here. You just have to drag it up here, and you can also of course change the order by dragging here the 3 little things here on the side, so you can set up your own order. Like for example, you want also the hotspot feature here to be on this area on the top, and then you can hit done, and then dragging it down with 2 fingers you will see it right away here. There's the hotspot now also. If you just drag it down with 1 finger, you will see the notification only, and then you have to drag it down again. So that's also a possibility, but with 2 fingers, that's again also something quite nice. So then we were before with the camera. Let's go back there, because there's a quite nice feature that you can turn on the camera right away just when the device is off by with a gesture, by just picking it up from the table and holding it a certain way. That's not that new, because HTC One M8 had that also. It didn't work for me quite well back then, but let's just try it here with motion launch gestures. You can see you can turn on different ones, like for example double tap, swipe down, bypass security, swipe to unlock, swipe to launch widget, blink feed, and volume button to launch camera. Now the volume button to launch camera, you can see it here, it says it on the number 6. Just have to pick it up and hit the volume button while picking it up and holding it a certain way, and then the screen should right away not only turn on but should go into the camera. So if it's put down on the table like this, you pick it up and you hit the volume button, it should launch the camera. Now you can see that doesn't always work. For me, for example, you can see it doesn't. Maybe I'm just really holding it wrong or not picking it up fast enough or something like that. But yeah, this is one motion launch gesture that should work if you have it turned on. Yeah, you have to press the volume down button and then it works. And then we were in the selfie mode before, so we can just go back here to the regular camera mode, and here we go. Let's try that again. So put it down on the table, pick it up, press the volume down button, and then you're right away into the camera, and then you can shoot your pictures here quite easy. So it works, but you have to press the volume down button, which is quite strange because the volume up button would be a little bit easier to reach. Anyhow, so that's one of the gestures. Again, the other one you were able to see before is double tapping is also enabled here, which is quite nice. It works for turning the device on, but it doesn't work to turn it off, like for example with the LG devices where you can just double tap also anywhere where there's space. So those are some motion launch gestures, the other ones you were able to see. And yeah, let's just go back here to the camera settings where I want to, for example, also show you that you can set up here under settings that you want the grid view, for example, also. That's one of the features. And then there's also here the possibility, if you go back to the camera, to set up voice launch or voice, voice, let's see, general settings, I guess, shutter sound, no, that was before, back. So you can take a picture by exactly voice capture by just listening it to your voice, and then you can say smile, anything like that, and it will take a picture. Or you can also take say that it should take a picture when everybody is smiling or just you are smiling. It then counts down or shoots the picture right away. So there's a few extra features right here under camera options, which is a little bit hidden, as you were able to see. I didn't find it for the first time right away also, but that's also here quite nice to just have. And also, of course, you can shoot finally now 4K. So that's again one thing that you might do or might not want to do, because it takes up, of course, a lot of space. And I would definitely tell you guys to use a micro SD inside then for more space. Now, what's also quite awesome is you can use the HTC One M9 as a USB stick. If you just pull down here the top and go to the settings and you go to storage, you can set it up to use it as a USB stick somewhere. I think then maybe in about, where you can actually, let me just go here into the software information and hit the software version number somewhere, about software information, and it should be under software number. You have to hit something here 7 times, and then it will tell you to be able to go to the software. That you will have your developer options, and I have no clue why it's not working right now. Usually it's just software information, and under the software number you can enable the developer options by hitting it 7 times, but it's not happening right now. I don't know why. But there you would have, of course, also the possibility, for example, to disable a few animations and anything like that, so your battery life is not draining as fast as it does for me right now with the maximum display brightness, where the phone is also getting a little bit warm. So again, let's just continue with a few other features, like for example, we can, completely turn off the blink feed. But before we turn off the blink feed, you can see we are in the Wi-Fi right now. I haven't set it up yet. But what you can, for example, also do is when you don't have your internet but want to read the news or anything that you find interesting from your feed, later you can say here under highlights and under settings that you can also want to have offline news reading, which would mean that you can save the complete news on your phone also when you're flying, for example, or in a train where you don't have good internet, but you really want to read offline your news. You can say you want to do that also right here, which is really quite nice. So again, that's really quite good. And you can also, of course, say to not use the mobile data if you don't want to, so it doesn't drain your battery in the background. But if you want to turn off the blink feed, just say you want to change the home screens. No, here we go. And then you can completely just drag and remove here blink feed. And then you see you have here your different home panels, and you can also hit the plus again to re-enable blink feed, and then it's back there. So if you don't need it or you want it, then of course that's quite handy. Also, of course, you have your previous apps here in the view that HTC has it, but you can also enable the view that Google intended for Android 5.0, the card view, which you can see right here. So that's quite handy if you have, for example, tabs in your browser, then it will show the different tabs here, each behind each other, and you can easily close them like this. And you have also the possibility to pin them if you enable that here in screen pinning on. That's quite handy if you have, for example, an ebook or anything like that. You can say you want to pin it, and then you can't go out, or from any app, you can't go out then. So if you have, for example, here, your browser and you want to have a certain website open and you want to pin that nobody can go in any other program than just the browser, you have to just hit the button right here. And then you can pin it, which means if you hit any button here on the bottom, nothing will happen. It will say screen is pinned, so you can hold it anyway. You can read anything as you want. For example, as I said, an ebook, and you won't accidentally exit here the app by just pressing anything, except for, of course, you can see it right here. If you press here the two buttons on the bottom at the same time, screen unpinned, and then you can go out again and do anything you want. So that's again quite a nice feature. And to turn, of course, back on here the grid view, you can just go here to settings, again from layout, you can just select that. And I think this is a little bit more or nicer here actually to use than the Google view, because you just have a better overview over your last apps. Now, if the screen is too sensitive anyway, if you're talking already about a pin view, you can also set the screen sensitivity under settings, display, and you can enable glove mode, which is quite handy if you have a glove on, or for example in the winter time. Of course, now the summer is coming, but you can enable that, and you can use also with gloves that are not actually made for touch devices here the screen, which is really quite nice. You can also, of course, change the font size. I find it always quite important, and the screen timeout is really amazing that you can set it up for a whole hour. That's what I did right now, so you don't have to wait that long. And what's also quite cool is that you can use here the media gesture, which allows the your three fingers to see in different media apps, which is also quite handy if you just want to do gestures also in media apps. And I think there is also quite awesome feature, which is interruptions. I have to look for that because it's usually quite deep somewhere under sound settings. You can set up different interruptions that between certain meetings or anything like that, that you don't want to have, of course, interruptions or just from a certain people. Now that's also possible here under the sound options. And actually there's a few more sound options that are quite nice, like for example flip to mute. That's a really old feature that a lot of older smartphones knew already also, but you can also set up here different modes that it should only mute once or mute always. And then of course all the other things that are quite important. But what's also quite new is if you just go here and press the settings button right here, you can see that you can also set here your certain notification volume to something. And also there's here the possibility to just have different themes for your sound. So for example, you can see no interruptions, not even alarms now, or priority, or you just want to have for all possibilities the same, or you can just head here to the three buttons, the three little dots, and then again we come back here to the interruption settings, which I showed you before. Let's go back here into the apps. We haven't shown you much here. There is nothing actually new going on because you still have your long view. But what you can do, for example, now is you can change the grid size from 3 to 4 to 4 to 5. So it's a little bit easy to press. You can see that the icons are still the same size, but for example, yeah, it's just a harder display to hit the wrong one. Oops, let me put this back because I just like it a little bit more to see more. And you can also say you want to not manage apps, but you want to hide certain apps that are pre-installed, for example, by your carriers. Like for example, I definitely don't want the color picker, flashlight here. What else do we have? I don't need a kid mode because I'm still too young to have kids. And then I can just say done. And what's quite interesting is you can still search for the apps, but they're not in a list anymore. I'm sorry, let's go back here. So you won't see the kid app, for example, here anymore, but you can still search for the apps that are hidden, or should be able to search for them. Interesting. All right. In my information, it was still possible to search for the apps that you managed to hide or unhide, but of course you can just go here into this menu anytime, and then you can see here them all again. And you can of course set your custom alphabetical or most recent order here for the apps. But what's still not possible is to save this order, these apps and everything. And if you buy a new smartphone, for example, a new Android smartphone, that they will have the same order, which would be actually quite nice. Let's go back into the settings, and I want to show you the Magnify option, which again can be quite handy. Which is again, of course, not that easy to find. So I guess I just have to go to Display and Gestures. And it actually should be just possible to hit the screen a few times with 2 or 3 fingers, and then you would be able to magnify or not magnify, which should be under accessibilities. I was looking at it from the wrong way. So accessibility, here we go. Where you can here magnify gestures, turn them on. You can also go in here and then you can see, for example, drag 2 or more fingers across the screen to pan, and pinch 2 or more fingers to spread them apart. So what you can then now do is go, for example, into the browser. Of course, this is something you would do before also, and then you can also just say you want to magnify certain proportions of the website by triple tapping them, and then with one finger you can browse around, and with 2 fingers you can just move the screen around. So this can be, and with of course you can zoom in and out, which can be quite handy, and then with hitting the screen 3 times again, you can just go out of the magnifying feature. That's again something that previous Android version were also already able to do, but of course for some people it might be quite handy here under accessibility that you just use the magnifying feature. So then what we also have, of course, is that you can completely change the theme the way you want it, because this is the standard Android theme by the Sense 7 software, but it looks a little bit too colory maybe for a few people, too childish, you could say. And then you can just go here. Actually, you don't even have to go to the settings. There's a selected themes app here by HTC, which I showed you already in the review, where you can set up your own themes. But what's not quite interesting is that you can download some. But what's even better is that you can say you want to just take a picture. Actually, let's just not go into recommended. You can take a picture, and then from the picture it will see the colors of the picture, and then you can just let yourself inspire from the picture here with the different themes, and then you will get these different icons here that look quite nice. But you can also just completely make one for yourself. So for example, I can just say I want this one, but if I don't, you can just download it. It's at 9 megabytes, and it will completely easily install it. But it should be also possible to just take a picture, just for example here from the other HTCs, whatever. And if you look at the picture, you will have here the option on the bottom to just hit the themes button. You would need to sign in, and then after you sign in, you will see that it will see the black color, the brown color, and the silver color maybe here, and then it will tell you what colors or what buttons and backgrounds and everything would be maybe interesting for you. So that's again quite interesting. But if you're already with pictures, there's also really amazing picture editor actually inside the HTC M9, which is called the photo editor, where you can really have a lot of options to set up with your pictures. So let's go, for example, here and take a nature shot right there, and then you will get right away here the touch-up feature, a few effects, flares, essentials. So for example, flare is quite interesting, where you can just start to draw here on the picture with different colors. You can of course also here, for example, make it a little bit thicker, a little bit less. That's for kids probably interesting. Let's discard. And then we can also say we don't want to flare, we want effects. And then we can add, for example, so then we can add, for example, here on the bottom, elements. Face fusion is, of course, right now not possible because we don't have faces on the screen, but double exposure, for example, can be interesting to blend 2 pictures on top of each other. which we can't right now, or I don't want right now. Then a prismatic, you can see here that's really artistic, has to process a little bit, and then you can see here some tiny little squares that are really quite strange, but you can also select here different ones. And maybe this is not the perfect picture to do this, but yeah, you can also here set up different things with that. And so on and so on. So there's really a lot of effects in the photo editor that HTC has just really built in, and it's really quite nice to just have all these things. So let's go here back into some basic things, like for example text messaging. So if you just open up a text, or you're just writing a little bit of text messaging and you want to just make it bigger, you just, here in this app, you can just zoom in and out. Oops, I'm sorry. By just pinching or hitting the volume button up and down usually, which is not working right now, of course, because why should it work when I want to show you guys something cool? So if you usually just write a text, you could be able to zoom in and out, but that's probably something that you have to check here in the settings. Which of course again is not that easy, because here, exactly, then you have general. You can even use signatures in text messages, which is quite interesting because nobody's doing that anymore. Yeah, and you can of course have here your own settings and some features that of course again I can't show you because I can't find them anymore after I found them before. Anyhow. So then it's also possible to end a call by pressing the power button. Of course you can see that's not possible when I just hit it for a long time, but you have to go here just to the settings. And you can set up what the power button should do when a phone call comes in. Power button ends call right here, under accessibility, right there. You can also say high contrast text, auto rotate screen. Of course that's usually also possible right here. And then, yeah, that's already actually it here from most of the features I want to show you. The other ones are just standard Android ones, like for example that you can hit the volume button to capture with the camera. That's not that interesting if you ask me. That's nothing new. And of course, for example, to put a new widget on the screen, you just have to hold it for a long time here, and then you can say you want to add a widget. That's again nothing new right there. And yeah, that's already it from all my HTC One M9 tips and tricks, power saving, and everything else you will see or you have seen in my review. So thank you much for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe. My name is Balazs, and until next time, peace and again.